Let's go out, we'll take no prisoners. Lonely love, gotta leave it behind. We look like $1 million. Every time they look at us, we'll blow their mind.
Hey, welcome back to episode 5 of Unleashed, a guide to indie filmmaking. And I'm Avi Federgreen, producer, distributor based in Toronto. And today I have two very close friends, Bill and Joanne Howard, who own a company called Small Dog Design, which is a graphic company. They do movie posters, record albums, artwork, you name it, they do it. I've been fortunate enough to be working with both of them for between 15 and 20 years now. I won't work with anybody else when it comes to graphics other than them. I recommend them all the time, and I thought it would be interesting to talk on this episode about, you know, not filmmaking, but some of the things that go on beyond in the distance of filmmaking, and helping with marketing and things like that. So, welcome, Bill and Joanne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You left director off your.
Oh yes, I'm a director. Yes, a director. Thank you for bringing that up, Bill. I appreciate that. So why don't we talk a bit about how you got into doing movie posters, things related to movies, and your love of film?
I'll let Joanne start because she was doing it before me.
I started Small Dog in December of 2005. So this December it'll be
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. And I did that I started it out of necessity because the agency I was working for closed down. They were in Richmond Hill and I was in Oshawa, and I didn't want to start commuting to Toronto because I've been there and done that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the clients I had at the agency were in music, mainly music. And a few were in film, and that was Susan Curran at Anchor Bay. Mm-hmm.
And Universal Music was your big music
Universal
client.
Music was my big music client.
Right.
And they were all sad that the agency was closing, and they sort of pushed me into starting my own. So that's how Small Dog started.
Right.
And when I started, I did everything. I did music, I did book covers, I did logos. And then just over the years, we sort of niched ourselves down into music and just film. So that's what we do now.
Yeah, and when she was doing that, I worked in music and film retail. I worked at HMV for 15 years and video stores before that. And I've always worked in film and music. So then when 2010 came and HMV, the ship sunk, then I took a year off, wrote a book, and then when I had to get back into a job, I tried just going back to retail. I was at a shoe store.
Wow.
Didn't like it. But then Joe was just like, well, why don't you work from home with me? And so she started teaching me what she does, and here we are 15 years later, and I'm still doing it.
Yeah, he was my apprentice. I taught him the basics of everything, and then he self-taught the rest himself.
Yeah.
And because he had such a huge passion for film, like it was a pretty easy transition.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can design movie posters? All right.
Yeah.
And talk about your love of film, because, I do know that you're both big lovers of film, watch films all the time, watch it on the internet as well. And especially in genre, you're a big fan as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I've been a movie fan forever, as long as I can remember. And I've collected every physical format since video disc and beta and whatever. So I've always been kind of a fanatic that way. So when we got together, Joanne was a film fan too, not a fanatic, but a fan. But now that we've been married for a quarter century, now she's as much a fanatic as I am. Well, I don't know, close. Close. But yeah, I love horror movies are always have a special place in my heart. And I love the community of horror filmmakers. I've never, all the people I've met over the years, from huge celebrities to indie filmmakers, it's just the horror community just seems to be so nice and kind and welcoming, and they embrace and help each other. And rabid, yeah, very much so.
Yeah. The most rabid community that I've ever encountered in 30 years of being in the business.
And they're kind of the only genre that has that, because I mean, you don't see, rabid drama fans.
No, not until they've seen my film, and then they become a rabid fan.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly. As I did.
You're such a liar. And so, like, you're seeing the film industry through what you're doing in a different way than people like myself and other filmmakers do. I mean, you're seeing it from a marketing point of view, a different type of creative point of view. Like, I know, like, when we've worked together, you've watched films that I've shared with you, and then from watching those films, you've generated amazing ideas that you've turned into movie posters and so on and so forth. Maybe you can talk a bit about that process.
Yeah, it's I don't know. The starting point is always, it's strange. We've actually had clients be surprised that we want to watch their movie before designing their poster, which I always thought was strange, because it's like we kind of have to have a feel for it. Right. But I think that probably what we do is something that should be in the forefront of filmmakers' minds, and it rarely is. Right. I think you should be starting to think about your film poster when you're prepping to start filming. And then it should be, as much as you're planning your setups and your everything for your filming, you should be working into that photography that you're eventually going to need for your marketing and your poster. And I think that the vast majority of filmmakers don't think about it until the movie's practically edited and done and wrapped, which is a shame. I think that's the biggest detriment, is when you get a film that nobody's thought about until that point, and then you get the finished film and they say they want a poster, and the only thing you have access to is the film itself, which, of course, because of the nature of a film, most of your shots are going to be chest up, and it's hard to make a poster from a bunch of chest up photos. And also not photos, they're coming from film, so they're never going to look as good as actual photography. But I think what a lot of filmmakers don't realize is that when you're on set, you don't have to hire a photographer. You don't have to have fancy equipment. You have somebody on the set with their iPhone that's taking pictures of people in costume, on sets, in poses. You don't really have to worry about the lighting as much. It just has to have the flavor of your movie in the photos. Of course, doing photography separately is awesome and great, but I'm just saying, as a low cost alternative, you're already there. You're all already there on the set. Right. Take photos, and then you have stuff to work with. I mean, and take a variety, like close-ups and full bodies and sitting and standing and all kinds of stuff. And
both of you and I are pretty religious about talking to filmmakers about if they can do a gallery shoot. And for anybody out there that doesn't know what a gallery shoot is, it's when you bring a still photographer in and he or she sets up a white background and lights the background properly. And then you put your actors on the white backdrop within wardrobe in various poses that you can then use to help create the poster. Yeah, you do, and you can do singles of each lead actor. You can do group shots that might work. The still photographer in our industry generally knows the best approach on how to take these photos and in what form and positioning of the actors and so on and so forth. But there's so many films that I've brought to Bill and Joanne where they didn't have any photography, and we had to. Bill and Joanne went through the film and identified certain stills that we pulled from the film. But as Bill mentioned, the resolution of those films, when you pull it from a feature film, are not poster ready in the sense of theatrical posters, which is like 24 and a quarter by 36 and a quarter sizes. When you blow those up, they
Or
become
bigger.
pixelated or bigger. They become pixelated, and you can't really use those images, which is why you do still photography. I mean, the still.
Yeah, because even if you're pulling from a 4K film, you're still not going to have the resolution from an actual photograph.
Yeah, the raw stills that the photographer takes are the best quality that you can have, including, as Bill said, from an iPhone. So when you've watched a poster, then like, how does these ideas come up in your head about what you're going to design, or the options that you're going to design? Where do these inspirations come from? I've always been interested in asking you that.
I find when I'm watching a movie, I'm looking for certain elements or characters or emotion or just something in the movie, like a still image that tells a story.
Right.
Emotion's a big part for me.
Emotion's a big part of it. Like, we try to really find that one image that maybe was disregarded as like just a quick scene, or even sometimes we get behind the scenes photos.
I was going to mention that we've had a few posters where we've gone through stills and we haven't found anything. We haven't found the right image. And then we go through the behind the scenes stuff. There was one poster, I can't remember what movie it was. And it was literally a photo of the main guy in costume waiting for his shot to be set up. And he was just standing with his hands in his pockets and his head down, and it was perfect. It was perfect. So we took that from the behind the scenes and made it into the poster, and it was beautiful.
I guess the main thing we're looking for is something that will evoke an emotion in the audience or the potential audience.
And the emotion of the film.
Yes. Yeah,
is it contemplative? Is it scary? Is it tension filled? Is it action? You want to try and evoke those feelings with whatever image you find.
Right. I mean, on Home Free, the main poster that you created was a combination of on-set photography and behind the scenes, because the image of the three sisters was a behind-the-scenes shot, and this shot of Audrey and Herb was the still photographer taking the picture on set. So, you've done it in all different kinds of ways, for sure. And, is there a situation where, I know for myself, and working with you guys as many times as I've worked with you, you always seem to surprise me in pulling off a poster that I would never have imagined, but completely works under all kinds of circumstances. And because you both understand the VOD world and what a poster needs to look like when it's like 2-inch by 2-inch or 2-inch by 1-inch or whatever it is, it's important that poster stands out when people go to a VOD platform, like whether it be Amazon or Apple or whatever, Tubi, to find that image will make or break whether somebody watches the film or they don't, right?
Yeah, it's way more of a factor now than it was even 10 years ago. Right. Like, there's a lot of posters that we may have designed 10 years ago that are a small person on a big expansive background that looks impressive when it's on a 27 by 40 poster. Right. But you put it on VOD and the person's tiny, and so you have to find ways of having your art be convertible. That is it going to look okay if you blow it up for VOD, right, and things like that. So yeah, it's more of a challenge now, knowing that the artwork is going to have to be scaled into all these different sizes and shapes.
Right.
So yeah, it's a challenge.
especially now, like the platforms, some of the platforms like Apple or whatever, they're using wide images, and you're having to make different sizes, whether it be horizontal or vertical or whatever. So whatever that poster is has to be adaptable to the various different sizes and formats, because if not, then you've got a problem when it comes to VOD, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's funny, even when you have, like, for your film, you provided great stills, great behind the scenes, great galleries and everything. And it's funny, when we were done designing the film, the poster, and you were happy with them, and we had done a few different designs. It's funny that we were sitting talking about it, and Joanne said, you know what he should have done? He should have taken a picture of the whole family on the couch in the living room. And I was like, oh yeah, that would have been a cool poster too. So it's like, even when you have everything,
then you're still
you
always
still come up
missing
with
something.
other ideas where you're like, yeah, that would have been cool too. Not that it would have been better or worse. It was just an idea that came to us that we were like, oh, that would have been cool.
Well, I mean, I feel like, and it's interesting that you say that. And earlier you said, think about your poster before you even shoot the movie, and obvious, and most of the movies that I do think about that before we even go to camera. And we have conversations with the still photographer about what scenes are important to photograph and what scenes aren't important to photograph. So that we try to bring out the still photographer on days where they're going to maximize their time of being able to get really important still photography, that you can capture the moment. But as you've said, you can never always capture the moment. Although I feel like we did capture some very great moments on Home Free and many of the other films that I've done with you. So
You did.
I mean, for me, photography is the most important part. And without that photography, your job becomes extremely difficult. And, I'm forever grateful for all the work that you've done over the years. One of the things that the audience probably should also know is that Bill wrote a really great book, a genre story called 10 Minutes from Home, which I was fortunate enough to get a copy from Bill. This is years ago. And I read it and I went, oh my God, this would make a great movie. And so I optioned Bill's book. My friend and associate, Reese Evaneshan, wrote a script based on the book. We're trying to get it financed right now. Bill, maybe you want to talk about the book and how that idea germinated to become a novel.
Sure, yeah. Well, it had been something I had started when I was working at HMV, just writing a little bit here or there, and I really didn't get much done because a job, children, whatever. But when the HMV job ended and I got my severance, I was like, this might be an opportunity I might never have again. That they're basically giving me a paycheck to sit down and finish this. So luckily, Joanne was like, yeah, great idea. So I took that time, and over the course of 8 months, I finished the book. And the idea basically came from being a gigantic George Romero fan. I love survival stories. I love Stephen King's book, Cell. And zombie movies, big fan of zombie movies, but I wanted to do something different with it. I wanted it to be one centered around here, around Toronto, because nobody ever does that. Even if they make a zombie movie here, it's Detroit, or they pick a different location.
Right.
So I wanted it to be here. So the whole book is about a guy that lives on a farm in Pontypool. Little shout out to Tony Burgess there. And he goes into Toronto for his birthday. And while he's there, a viral outbreak happens, and he has to find his way back home, to his wife and daughter. Right. So the one thing I did in the book that is, I think, a little different as far as books I've read is that I alternate chapters between the journey and the action and biographies of the characters, because I thought, how can I make a reader really be invested? And I thought, well, the best way to be invested is if you know everything about them, if you know where they came from and their history.
Right.
So, and people who have read it seem to respond really well to that part of it. So that's kind of what happened with it. And I was really happy with how it turned out. I got really good responses from it. I self-published it a little early on, but yeah.
I mean, and I had this conversation with you after I read it, which was, it reminded me a lot of Viggo Mortensen's The Road, which I love.
Yeah,
that,
there was definitely inspiration there too.
I love that movie. I think it's probably
too.
the best post-apocalyptic movies that I've seen. If you've seen one, in most cases, seen one zombie movie, you've seen them all. They're pretty much,
Yeah.
you know, that between Shaun of the Dead and The Road, those are my two favorite sort of movies when it comes to that part of the genre. But you know, I want to see this movie get made. I think it's an amazing book that you've basically put together out of pure passion and you know, experience of watching as many movies as you've watched, to give the reader and hopefully the audience an opportunity to really dig into a really great emotional zombie movie, which, I mean, again, most zombie movies don't have emotion in it. Yours is completely off the radar emotional when it comes to the storytelling. And so we're trying to, you know, take advantage of that and use that also within the constructs of the script. So,
Right. Yeah.
and,
it's exciting.
and, you know, you did a poster based on, the concept of the script and everything else, which when you sent it to me, I almost fell off my chair because it was so inspiring and so on the money. When Reese and I saw it, we were like godsmacked. You know, I hope we can bring this story to fruition sooner rather than later. Are you inspired to write another book now?
I'd love to, but nobody's giving me 8 months severance.
Yeah.
So it's
When?
hard to
What do you
find the
think?
time.
No.
It's not coming from her. I'd love to. I have a sequel to 10 Minutes
Right.
started,
Oh.
and I have an exorcism novel started, but who knows if I'll ever get to them.
Well, we have to find.
I love writing, but it's just so hard to find the time.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you guys are, you know, the evolution of Small Dog, and maybe you want to talk about that. The evolution of Small Dog and marketing materials for film has expanded in such a big way in the last 10 years. And you guys have been, you know, when you were at a point, and we had these conversations where is the next piece of work going to come from? Because you have the bills to pay, you have a daughter to raise, a house in Oshawa, and all these kinds of things that, you know, add pressure and anxiety to.
The joys of working from home.
That's okay. I have a dog, so I completely get it, and it's no worries. Why don't you talk about how it's changed?
There are junior designers and they suck. Sorry, go ahead.
Why don't you talk about that? You know, you've gone from, it was really tough going, to now being slammed pretty much 10, 11 months a year now.
Yeah, we last year was Small Dog's best year in its history. So where the industry is in a weird place, it doesn't really seem to be affecting us. We're busier than ever. I think that's mostly due to the fact that we have a great group of regular clients. Mm-hmm. We also have a lot of independent filmmakers that come and go, although they come back if they make another film a lot of the time. Right. But we've got so many anchors now that's what kind of keeps us going and makes us not worry about like, oh, we're going to be able to pay the mortgage next month. So that's where it feels more secure now than it did before, because it was a lot more one-off work 5, 8, 10 years ago. So you'd never know if you're going to be busy and then the next month be dead and you're stuck. So that seems to be kind of the pattern from last year and this year,
Right.
is that we have reliable clients that like what we do and keep coming back,
Like you.
Right.
like you.
I mean, and how do you feel that the industry has changed? Like you've been, been doing this a long time, both of you, and the industry has obviously changed. And your stronghold is mostly independent cinema, obviously, and
Yeah.
independent recording artists as well in music. You handle a lot of independent musical artists as well. Like how have you seen the changes in the industries that that you're definitely deeply involved in?
It's weird because our perspective of the industry is different because we don't work on like the studio side of it. So we don't know how that part's working.
Right.
But on, I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
When I started out, especially in music, there was a lot of print, of course.
Yeah.
There was a lot of magazine ads, like in Exclaim or Now, or even in Rue Morgue. Like we did a lot of print ads.
Yeah.
In all across the national print ads, like in newspapers and stuff. Like when I worked with Universal Music, that was a huge part of our business.
Right. Right.
But when everything started going digital and social media and online, print work is very,
Pretty much non-existent.
it's non-existent, except for the odd artists will put out vinyl. Like there's been a huge resurgence in vinyl. So even independent artists are putting out vinyl now, even if it's just 100 records.
Right.
Like they have limited editions and they sell them at their shows or on their websites.
Right.
So that's been a huge thing too for us.
Yeah.
A lot of
And
vinyl.
on the film side, it's, of course, VOD is gigantic.
Right.
But also, one thing I find curious in the industry is that everything was DVD,
Yeah.
went to Blu-ray. Blu-ray became huge. Now we have 4K.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, a lot of people are still just making DVDs,
Yeah.
which I find curious. I guess because, they're still selling, but I find it crazy. I guess because I'm a movie fanatic, I find it crazy that anybody would be like, gotta get that on DVD. I just find that so odd. Especially when the price isn't that different in retail.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of an industry thing that shocks me now, is that DVD is still so prevalent and widespread. It seems to just be the format that won't die.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, some people are putting out, and I think you've been involved in a bit of this too, putting out VHS tapes again.
We do a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which shocks the heck out of me because I can't even, I mean, I always felt that beta was the format that should never die because I loved it so much and I thought it was really, really great and way better than VHS, but it died a horrible death. And VHS seems to have resurrected itself a little bit. And I also noticed that some musical artists are doing cassette tapes again.
Yes, I
Yeah.
was about to say cassette is making a huge comeback. Even
Yeah.
our daughter, she's turning 18 this year and she has a cassette player.
It's shocking. I mean, I'm waiting for 8-track to come back because for me, 8-track was the best in my mind.
Yeah, because there's nothing like in the middle of your song you hear click.
No, but I felt that the sound quality, especially in a car listening to 8-track, my dad used to have like a Z28 or whatever it was, and he had an 8-track player and he'd pop in like April Wine or whatever into that 8-track, and those are memories that I'll have forever. But the audio was really, really good quality. But cassette tape I thought wasn't the greatest of formats, but it's making a big comeback now, which is shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Obviously fueled by nostalgia over quality.
yeah, and I mean, I've seen people who still have Walkmans. I mean, I'm just
I
like,
have one.
I mean, like, it's crazy. But I mean, a lot of the marketing that's going on with films, especially in physical media, and Bill and I were in this 4K club, I guess you could say, where a friend of ours, is able to secure 4K titles for sale and also Blu-ray and some Criterion and things like that. And, he's got over 300 subscribers and they sell like hotcakes. And anybody thinks that physical media is dead is snoozing at the wheel, because it is as
100%.
big now as it ever was, in my opinion. And there are collectors that buy the physical media. They don't want the disc; they just want the slipcover, and they put it in special binders, and they'll pay $50 just for the slipcover. They don't care.
Yeah, I've been going through mental anguish for the past week because Grindhouse Releasing put out a 6-disc 4K set of Fulci's The Beyond,
Right.
and it's $100.
Right.
So I've been like, I can't spend $100 on it. I just can't. And then
No.
the next day I wake up and I'm like, maybe I should. Maybe no, I can't spend on.
Just do it.
That's what she always says. Luckily, that's why I have a great partner, because she always says, just do it. But yeah, I'm a sucker for stuff like that too. I rebuy stuff. I hunt down the best for films that I really love. I hunt down the best packaging. Like, I'm a huge fan of Luc Besson's Leon,
Right.
and the regular release, I was just like, it's just mass marketed bland. So I found a steel book on eBay from France.
Right.
There was a gorgeous painting on the cover and Gary Oldman on the back. So I ordered it and chucked out the disc and put my disc in it. It was great.
Yes, I mean, I've seen you go after titles online just as fast as I go after titles.
Oh, yeah.
And, you can't see my background right now, but I've got like thousands of Blu-rays that are just leaning the Tower of Pisa before they fall over, and then I don't know what the hell I'm gonna
I
do.
do, though. I'm at a point now where I'm curating my collection. I used to be the guy who was like, if I like it, I'll buy it. And at some point, I was up over 3,000, and I was like, I don't have space. This is unrealistic. So I've been selling off chunks of my collection. I'm down to about 1,200 now. But now my collection is something where I go through it and I'm like, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. Like, I have very few likes.
Right.
So
I'm
it's
not
better
like
for the
that.
wallet. It's better for space.
Yeah. I'm bad. But I've slowed down significantly because of budget and availability and things like that. But there are the classic titles that I have to have when they come out on 4K. And I think I don't think filmmakers think enough about physical media, especially in genre. And you do the artwork for my physical releases, and I'm doing one for Home Free, obviously, and I've got one for I'm going to be doing one for Alien on Stage and a few other titles that I'm distributing. But there aren't a lot of filmmakers that as we talked about earlier, don't think about doing a physical media before they start shooting the movie, because you want all these extras that you want to be able to put on that physical disc, and audiences that are collectors or into physical media, they're more interested in looking at the extras than they are seeing the film again on the physical media. So if you're independent filmmaker out there, and you're doing a film that you desperately want to do a physical media version of the film, make it special. Make it have a slipcover that has different artwork on it than the movie poster, and have different stills on the slipcover that's not on the wrap that's on the physical media and things like that.
I was going to say that's another big change to the industry, is that the physical media industry has switched over to the boutique label thing, which was like in VHS days, that was a big deal to have. They'd put out giant box sets that were just crazy amount. I have an Exorcist and a T2 VHS box set behind me that I got used. And now the boutique labels are doing that, where you get a poster in it and you get reversible art where they've commissioned an artist to do the front, and the back is the original art. And a nice slipcover that's glossy, and tons of extras and interviews, and sometimes bonus films included and things like that. And as a film fanatic, that's like the ultimate.
Right.
If it's a film you love, getting that is like you have 100 holy grails in your collection.
Well, it's true. And, we see people, companies like Arrow who do special physical, box sets and Criterion, same thing. They're doing, re-releasing some of their titles that were on, DVD only, and they're releasing now on Blu-ray and adding
4K.
And 4K and adding more content and things like that. And we see Kino Lorber getting some old titles from way back when and resurrecting them and putting them out on physical media, Blu-ray and DVD and things like that. I'm a big Jaws fan, as you can see. I'm wearing a unique, different kind of Jaws, and I've every single release of Jaws that has come out, whether the 40th anniversary or the 50th anniversary or the 10th anniversary, whatever, I've got them all because it's the movie that inspired me to become a filmmaker. And I've watched it a bazillion times, and every time that they put out a new disc that's got new, extra materials on that the other ones didn't have. So if you're a filmmaker out there and you want to do physical, think about making content, shooting content, behind the scenes, EPKs and making ofs, and maybe outtakes and things like that. Maybe having storyboards on your in your physical media extras and things like that. It makes your movie more sellable. There are companies like Vinegar Syndrome that are out there that, are looking for unique titles to put out on physical media. Again, Arrow and there's a lot of independent companies all around the world, some in Germany, some in France. I've met the owners of these companies and hopefully going to be bringing some of their unique titles to North America, with English subs, where they generally don't have English subs on their releases, but now interested in potentially putting physical media out in North America in their, special films that they're curating and putting out on physical media. And I think it's important to, it's sort of like an archive of the film business. Right?
Absolutely.
It's physical media that, if it doesn't get on VOD, and sometimes it doesn't always live on VOD, like on Apple, after a while, titles end up falling off Apple's platform and things like that. And so having
I always think that is that I'm good if the apocalypse hits.
Right.
Because I've got all the movies here. The internet can go down. I'm good to go.
Right. In your bunker, right?
Yeah.
You've got a bunker in your basement.
Actually, two things I just thought of that I should have discussed earlier. But two things about, you were mentioning doing physical media, and one thing that I find filmmakers might be subconsciously confused about is many times when we're designing a poster for somebody, they want it designed for them. Like they want it to be like, this is the poster of my movie, so it has to be what I want it to look like, so that when I hang it on my wall in my office, it's my. And I've I don't know how many discussions I've had with clients where I'm like, it's not for you though. It's for everybody who hasn't seen your movie.
Right.
It's got to be the thing that brings them to your movie. Right. It's like you're going in the wrong direction. You shouldn't be doing it for yourself, because that might not be what's going to bring people in.
Well, it's the same thing about when you're editing the movie and you're shooting the movie and all that stuff. You have to take yourself out of the picture and think about what is going to make the best film possible to garner the biggest audience possible, right?
Yeah.
And
because your whole purpose is you want other people to enjoy your movie.
Right. Unless you're a bazillionaire and you really don't care about what other people think of your movies, and you can just throw lots of money at your films and make them. But I haven't met anybody like that quite yet. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that you have to take your personal feelings about it out and share your images with people that are potentially your audience, to get them to give you input on whether they think that poster would be attractive to them when they were searching through a VOD platform or things like that. Even physical media, if you go to Walmart, like your artwork is going to stand out in those little kiosks that they have for Blu-rays in the middle aisles close to the TV section. And if your artwork doesn't stand out, people are just going to completely ignore it and go to the big studio titles that have the tremendous artwork and extra material and all that other stuff. And
Right.
it's you're a salesperson also as a filmmaker, so you need to sell your film, and you're selling your film by the extra materials that you're creating that help sell your film.
Yeah, and even if you don't want to, like, some people get offended when you say something like that, right? That you're a sales thing because they look at themselves as artists, which they are. But that's the point of your art, is that you want other people to experience it.
Right.
So you can't, that's how you have to look at it.
Right. No,
It's about sharing your art and making people connect to it. And they can't do that if you don't have the art to get them there in the first place.
Right. I totally agree with that. And I think it's important for our audience, who likely are, mostly filmmakers or, fans of film, that, these kinds of things matter, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be a poster, whether it be a DVD or Blu-ray cover, 4K cover, whatever, you want to be able to convince your audience to take and watch your film before they watch something else.
Yeah.
And it has to be fresh and, and creative. Like I've always been a believer that it doesn't necessarily need to look modern to be effective. It could, depending on the film, you could make it look like it was made in the 60s or whatever the case may be. But
That's another industry change. We've had a lot more of that in the past
right.
5 years. Retro design, putting fold marks on it and desaturated colors, and
In 80s.
yeah, 80s looking, 70s
80s,
looking.
Yeah, and 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot
Which
of
I think is cool, right? I mean,
I love it.
yeah,
I'd do every poster that way if I could.
That's true.
I agree.
I'm gonna put fold lines on home free when I make the.
Oh my God! No, what?
It's gonna be awesome.
What? Actually, it's a pretty interesting idea, because part of the references that we used when we talked about the poster to begin with was influences like on Golden Pond or
Yep.
Yes.
or Terms of Endearment or things like that. So,
Yep.
actually, now that you've brought this idea up, maybe we need to think about that for the physical media now. Because that's
kind
an
of a good
interesting
idea.
take on it. You've just created more work for yourself now. You
That's what I
realize?
do. That's what I do.
What do you see as the future now? Like, as far as what you do and being an outsider looking at film, also as an audience member, but also as somebody who watches film to create additional materials for a film. What do you see coming, like, down the road?
I think physical media is going to continue. I'm tired of seeing the whole thing about that it's going to die. I think it would be, God knows how long, 100 years before anything like that would happen, if not more, because people will always want a tangible connection to things.
Right.
So I think that physical media is still always going to be a component. You've already seen the landscape changing in terms of how fast theatrical movies go to VOD and home premieres and high-priced rentals at first. I think that's going to continue. I know during COVID they were experimenting with same day, that you could rent it at a premium price on the same day it was in theaters.
Right.
I think that could become something down the road.
Right.
Now the phone, I turned the ringer off.
It's probably upstairs. Whatever.
But yeah, I think all of that's still going to be digital. Obviously, is not going anywhere. That's going to be the way people are going to watch movies for a long time.
Right.
But I think that wave of people that love movies, knowing that it's not going to always be there on digital, that those platforms can yank the films at any time, and then you can't watch your favorite movie anymore.
Right.
So I think physical media is going to continue. I don't think in our lifetimes, I don't think our job is going to change that much. I think there's always going to be a demand for what we're doing. Of course,
I think specifically in our industry, like music and
music and film.
Yeah. As far as graphic design, I don't see it changing that much.
No. Then there's always the scary buzzword of AI. That's going to have implications as well. I'm not a doomsayer with AI. I think it's an amazing tool that's very helpful. I think that the things that it does that people are worried about are things that a small fraction of people are using it for, and it's for like laughs and gags. And I don't think it's the downfall of, artistic filmmaking or music as a lot of people think it is. Right. I think it's a really important tool to help workflow and to improve quality.
Right.
Like you were mentioning with the millions of VOD resizes and stuff, if we get a poster from a client, a done poster, like not one that we designed, and they need all those VOD resizes, if you're making a really wide horizontal and all you have is a vertical poster, I have to use AI to extend that background because there's no other way to fill that space.
Right.
So it's an invaluable tool. Like, I mean, before AI, I would have had to have searched through stock photos for days to find something that maybe resembled the background in the poster.
Right.
It was near impossible.
Right.
So it's invaluable for things like that.
Right. And we have some questions from our producer, Toronto Mike. Toronto Mike, why don't you...
I thought you were going to say there was a caller.
You there, caller? You there?
Yeah, caller.
It's Phil Donahue, right? Is that Phil? I think that's Phil. Yeah. All right, so the conversation's been amazing with Joanne and Bill. I just want to tell Joanne and Bill from Small Dog Design that on my studio table here in the TMDS studio, I have some of your handiwork because I have literally it's salad dressing. It's a bottle of salad dressing gifted to me by Stu Stone for Don't Fuck with Ghosts. And I am all but certain that is your handiwork.
Yes, it is.
Nice. Salad dressing. I don't think I was aware of that.
Yep. I'm going to send you a picture of this.
We did a poster.
You did a poster and they put it on salad dressing. Yeah. Also, now
Did they call it Don't Fuck with Salad?
No, they should have. They needed your creative input, I think. But then also...
That would have been great.
Avi disclosing to me, they're disclosing that Jaws inspired this entire wonderful career. Now it explains the byline for my mug from Red Water Entertainment. That reads,
which was designed by Joanne and Bill.
So I have a lot of Joanne and Bill on my studio table here, but it says, you're going to need a bigger cup.
Yes, that was Bill, I think, wasn't it, Bill, that you came up with that idea?
It might have been. Yeah. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And Avi, I'm not your psychiatrist, Avi, or your therapist, but I think this viewpoint that 8-track was a good format is related to nostalgia you have from a time of innocence in your life when you were just a boy in your daddy's car.
Well, I would say okay, but I did really like 8-track so much so that in the movie High Life that I produced in Manitoba, starring Timothy Oliphant, we played a lot of source music in the film from April Wine and Three Dog Night and a bunch of other bands of that era. And in the car that they were driving was an 8-track player, and we see a shoebox full of 8-tracks, which, funny enough, that's what my father would use to keep his 8-tracks in his car. It was an open shoebox, and he just put the 8-track tapes in there, and he would grab one before he would start the car up and hit the road.
I think he just admitted that it is based on nostalgia.
Because nothing's better than in the middle of the song when it stops down nothing's better than that.
No,
I never understood that. Like, why not just...
Also, cassettes. I know your 18-year-old is into cassettes, and I have a cassette player to my right, and I have cassettes, but I won't play them because of how incredibly inconvenient that format is. And if I want to hear the fourth song, I literally have to sit there and fast forward. And I don't think in 2025 people are willing to do that.
No, I agree. I agree. Okay. but you could release a single on a cassette.
A single, yeah, I remember those.
That's true.
So last word for me before I pass the mic back to Avi. It is actually for Joanne Howard, who is a self-professed metalhead. And I'm just curious if Joanne has any thoughts on the passing of Ozzy Osbourne.
There's a good question.
Oh, yeah.
We both love Ozzy.
When I heard the news, I was working, and my daughter actually came in and told me. Came into my office and told me, and it was shocking considering it was only a few weeks before he had his huge concert.
Yeah.
So it was unexpected and incredibly sad. I was watching a bit of the actual funeral procession today, and just seeing Sharon and his entire family and how broken up they are about it. It was incredibly sad. He definitely he took that genre of metal and made it into what it is today, pretty much.
And he exemplified what it could be to be a hard rock metal artist and still be a really good guy.
Yeah, totally. And he influenced like bands like Metallica and Maiden and bands like that don't exist if it wasn't for Ozzy Osbourne.
That's right.
Yeah, like I knew he had that reach, but I didn't know how far it actually went till I started reading all the tributes online.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I mean,
all the bands he touched and helped become who they are today.
And go ahead, Bill.
I was just going to say, I'm like a super high tier Alice Cooper fan. Like I'm next level Alice Cooper fan. And I already said after Ozzy passed, I said to Joanne, the day that Alice goes, just be prepared that I'm not working for a couple days.
Right.
Like, I don't know if I can handle it.
Right. I mean, since Ozzy passed away, I've been listening to Mama, I'm Coming Home almost like multiple times a day. I'm not a metalhead, but I do. I mean, Black Sabbath in my early days was a big influence for me in music in a genre that I wasn't really into a lot. But, you know, that band changed everything for a lot of people. And I'm happy I got to see the Ozzy's last concert in its entirety. And I'll forever remember that experience for sure. But Joanne and her daughter Evie went to see Metallica in Toronto, I think, right, Joanne?
Montreal.
Montreal. Sorry, right. Yeah.
And they were right up on the bars at the stage. Yeah.
Nice.
It was a once in a lifetime experience for sure. It was awesome.
Nice.
I stayed home and worked, just for the record.
Of course you had to get that in there. Of course. You're just one big sourpuss. Well, listen, I mean, we've been talking for quite some time, and I find I could talk to you guys forever, but I think it's time to bring this episode to a close. I want to thank you both for taking the time out of your busy day to come on to the podcast and talk about some of the things that
when do we come back?
Well, we'll have
When's
you.
The next
we
one?
have to have you back for sure. I mean, you know, I could talk to you guys forever, and I probably will call you at some point very soon to talk about Bill's new idea about my physical media release at Volume 3. But your insight into a part of the business that most people don't even think about, I think, is invaluable. And I've said that to you guys before, that, you know, you've saved my behind, I don't know how many times, by your creations and your talents. And I'm forever grateful for our friendship and for our business relationship. And I hope it lasts forever. And
Me too.
Same here.
for the audience out there, if you're looking for an amazing graphic design team for your poster, for your record, your vinyl record, your logo, whatever it is that you need, I'm telling you, no question about it, check out smalldogdesign.ca. Their website has a lot of great sample work that they've done. And it's made in Canada by two amazing Canadians, and you can't go wrong by going with Small Dog Design, Bill and Joanne Howard. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank
It was
you
a pleasure.
so much. It
And
was awesome being here.
well, thanks for thanks for coming.
Every time they look at us, we'll blow